Hello.
His fiance Dustin.
What? Can you stop?
Hey, you. I know I yelled at you real bad. I know I said some things I shouldn't have said. But I was just angry. Upset. You know how close I am to this movie deal. I mean, they know about my dancing, but those pictures. You don't want to mess up my chance for stardom. Do you, baby? What do you say? You bring over those prints and we can make up.
Well,
I mean, only down.
What song are you listening to?
Want to Beyond by Lenore.
The thing that makes Oliver Tree's death so unsettling isn't just that he was so talented, it's that he seemed so.
The amount of people saying that Oliver Tree's tragic death was him being murdered by his record label, his former label. Oh, he exposed the music industry. He left his record label and exposed the music industry. This is a stick. I knew it. Product of greatness. You are. Here he comes. Take that, sir. Behold, a grown man weeping like.
That was your plan?
How'd you guys all find each other? It's a really funny story. When I first found Mauricio, I was in a boomer Facebook, it's like crazy story. The truth is, guys, I'm so fucking. I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I'm gonna, no. It's so big! 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 No! 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 Oh my god! What the fuck is that? I'm so fucking. I'm going. I can't. No. I can't. No. I can't. No. I'm going. No. Give me that ball! Strike! Yeah, Johnny! Stand away from it!
Working with a picture.
Hmm. Work go thing. Hey, rip to him. That's crazy. That's fucking insane. Oliver's gone, bro. That can't be real. That's so fucking.
A video was recorded by a particular production company specializing in adult entertainment. The video itself featured Satanism is one of the most controversial.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Religions of all time, and we're gonna learn all about it today. All the horrors that have come from it, all the true crime, and even some panic around it that turned out to not even be true. So we're gonna learn about the real stuff and expose the fake stuff, but let's get into this. Sean Sellers was born in California on May 18th, 1969. He went on to commit 3 murders inspired by his belief in Satanism, but we'll get there. His mom, Vonda, was 16 when she had him. His father was 17, and Amnesty International, which is a human rights group, describes him as unstable and alcoholic. By the time Sean was around 3 or 4, his parents had split up and Vonda moved him back to Oklahoma. His mother later married a truck driver named Paul Bellafato. Because Vonda and Paul drove across the country for work, Sean spent a lot of time being passed between relatives. Sometimes he lived with his mom and stepdad, sometimes he lived with his grandparents, sometimes he was with other family members. By the time he was 16, he had moved around 30 times. That moving around matters because even as a kid, Sellers seemed to have learned not to get too attached to anyone. Amnesty said that he was intelligent and did well in school, but he also became more isolated, more emotionally disturbed, and more detached from reality as he got older. According to the same report, he later said he heard voices telling him things like, quote, shoot the class and kill everyone in the class. There were also ugly things happening around him at home. Sellers later said he was beaten by his mother and grandfather. Amnesty also says one uncle humiliated him for wetting the bed by making him wear diapers when he was 12 or 13. And apparently, if it happened 2 nights in a row, the uncle made him wear a soiled diaper on his head during the day. That is fucked up. And then there was the violence. According to Amnesty, his mother and stepfather carried guns when they traveled. One uncle took him hunting and tried to make him kill animals by stepping on their heads and pulling their legs. Sellers later told a psychiatrist that he once saw that uncle put an axe on a wounded raccoon's head and pull on his legs until the head came off. When Sellers refused to take part in stuff like that, he said his uncle and stepfather called him a wimp. So before the murders, you already have this kid who is moving constantly, hearing voices, getting humiliated, seeing violence up close, and spending long stretches of his childhood without a stable home. Then Satanism came into his life pretty early. A Radford University case timeline says that when Sellers was around 8, a babysitter brought books about Satan over while his parents were gone. After that, he came back to Oklahoma with a new fascination with Satan. By his teenage years, the same timeline says he had become obsessed with good and evil, God and Satan, demonology, and daily satanic rituals. It also says he stored his own blood in vials in the refrigerator, sometimes drank it at school, and was voted most likely to become a vampire by classmates. That last detail sounds almost fake because it's like so on the nose. But it shows, I guess, how people around him were already reading him as that kind of kid. Not just quiet or weird, but specifically dark, occult, vampire, Satan stuff. And this was before anyone outside his private life knew he was actually capable of. By 1985, Sellers was 16 years old and living in Oklahoma City. The first murder happened on September 8th,
I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy.
Sellers was with his friend Richard Howard. The victim was Robert Paul Bauer, a 36-year-old clerk at a Circle K convenience store in Oklahoma City. According to the later court summary, Bauer had refused to sell beer to Howard earlier that night. And after that, Sellers shot Bauer to death. Richard Howard became the main witness against him. And Howard, again, really wasn't just some random person who heard about it. He was there that night. According to Amnesty, Howard was originally charged with first-degree murder too, but that charge was dropped after he agreed to testify against Sellers. He eventually got a suspended sentence for being an accessory after the fact. At trial, Howard said Sellers told him why he killed Bauer. Sellers allegedly said he, quote, wanted to see what it feels like to kill somebody. That sentence is insane and probably one of the coolest details in this whole case, because if Howard was telling the truth, then the first murder wasn't some complicated family blow-up or a fight that spiraled or anything like that. It was a teenage boy killing a store clerk just to find out what it felt like. After Robert Bauer was killed, Sellers went back to normal life for about 6 months. He went home, he went to school, he kept seeing his mother and stepfather, and he kept hanging around Richard Howard. And Robert Bauer's murder was still unsolved at this point. But then, in March of 1986, Sellers killed again. This time the victims were his own mother and stepfather. Vonda Sellers was 32. Paul Bellafato was 43. They were asleep in their bedroom when Sellers shot them with a .44 caliber revolver. According to the later court summary, Sellers tried to make it look like an intruder had broken into the house and committed the murders. He went to Richard Howard's house afterward. Howard later testified that Sellers showed up early that morning and told him he had killed his parents. Police found the bodies of them. The family murder scene and Circle K murder were eventually tied together, and Sellers was tried for all 3 deaths. At trial, Sellers said that he was a practicing Satanist at the time of the murders, and later summaries of the case say he claimed demonic possession had caused him to kill, and he even gave the demon a name, Ezurate. The Los Angeles Times also described him as an avowed Satanist when he killed Bauer, Vonda, and Paul. His defense also brought up his mental state. A psychiatrist testified that Sellers was either insane or legally unconscious when the crimes happened. And years later, his lawyers argued that he had multiple personality disorder, and the federal appeals court said the evidence of mental illness was troubling. But the court still said it couldn't help him because of the way the case had moved through the system. The jury found him guilty. He was sentenced to death for all 3 murders. And while he was on death row, the public version of Sean Sellers changed again. He converted to Christianity in prison. He wrote about religion and he gave interviews. He argued that the person he had become on death row was not the same person who had committed those murders at 16. The Los Angeles Times wrote in 1999 that he never stopped saying he had changed from the confused Satan worshiper who had killed his mother, stepfather, and his store clerk. Some people believed him, and some absolutely did not. At his clemency hearing, one former juror said the jury had rejected a life sentence because they were afraid he might get parole after 15 years or less. But Thomas Bellafato, Paul's brother, still supported the execution. He told the Los Angeles Times that his 7-year-old grandson understood right from wrong and asked where people were supposed to put the cutoff date. And this is where the case becomes really interesting because by 1999, Sean Sellers was 29 years old. He had spent basically his entire adult life on death row, but the state was still punishing him for what he did when he was 16. Amnesty International said he would be the first person in the United States put to death for a crime committed at age 16 since Leonard Shockley in 1959. Human Rights Watch also criticized the execution because Sellers was 16 at the time of the murders, and because doctors had raised serious concerns about mental illness. On February 4th, 1999, he was 29. Robert Paul Bauer had been dead for 13 years. Fonda Sellers and Paul Belafonte had been dead for almost 13. Sellers had gone from a teenage Satanist murderer to a death row Christian to an international death penalty case. In the early 1980s, women in the Chicago area started disappearing and turning up dead in ways that police immediately knew were connected. The group later became known as the Chicago Ripper Crew. The main names were Robert Gett, Edward Spritzer, Andrew Cucurellis, and Thomas Cucurellis. Gecht was usually described as their leader. He was a little older than the others, he worked regular jobs, and had a wife and kids. From the outside, he looked like a normal suburban man. The younger men around him later said that he was the one giving orders. The first murder usually connected to the group was Linda Sutton. Linda was last seen alive around 11 p.m. on May 23rd, 1981 in Chicago. 7 days later, her body was found in a field near the Burr Rabbit Motel in Villa Park. Her hands were cuffed behind her back. Her breasts had been cut off. The coroner said she had probably died from